Welcome everybody to another episode of the Wait, What Was I Doing? A Squirrel, an Ape, and a Trash Panda podcast. I have no clue what you're doing here after last episode's absolute fucking off the rails going down a San Francisco Hill shit show. Dumpster fire, whatever the fuck that thing was.
I don't know, I thought it was pretty good. I mean, Patrick sounded really great, and I thought I contributed.
Nobody's asking you. We're going to go over the DSM-5, the subclasses of ADHD, and why ADD is no longer a term that should be used. On this first episode, Wait, What Was I Doing? A Squirrel, an Ape, and a Trash Panda podcast, in which a squirrel, an ape, and a trash panda attempt to explain ADHD. The keyword here being attempt. An attempt was in fact made. So, if you're ready, buckle in, because it's sure to be a fucking shit show.
Stand by. We definitely call ourselves out in this episode.
Oh God, and it hurts.
100%.
And now it is time for the great debate. We present to you our resident debater, Lee.
The great debate. I'm sure that you've seen this going all over TikTok. You see people within our community using this term all the time. It's an antiquated term that actually does not exist anymore, thus being antiquated. Way to kick a dead horse, Lee. But don't sick PETA on me. It was a metaphorical horse. The horse never existed, people. And that's over the term ADD. And I always have to be very careful when I say ADD because I am so used to saying ADHD now that it's not really part of my vernacular. That was
so you said that it doesn't exist anymore.
It doesn't. It doesn't
Really?
exist anymore. So
Tell us why.
today we're going to be talking about the DSM-5. And the DSM-5 came out in 2013. As of 2013, they got rid of the ADD diagnosis and they rolled it into ADHD because science has learned that hyperactivity does not only present outwardly, but people with ADD had hyperactivity presented inwardly.
And if there's anything we can learn today, it's that science doesn't give a fuck about your feelings.
That is the running theme for the night. Science does not give a fuck about your feelings. I have had some rather spirited debates on my TikTok with people who are dead set on using ADD as a diagnosis. And to an extent, I could understand why somebody would feel that way. It is the diagnosis that they received, and therefore is the diagnosis that they feel most comfortable using. And if we were turkeying,
Gobble that up.
if we were talking in terms of gender or sexuality, that would be completely acceptable. But we're talking about medical. And there are things that are and things that are not. And ADHD is the thing that is, and ADD is the thing that is not. Now, what throws a lot of people for a loop with this is doctors. This is one of my biggest pet peeves.
Mine too.
The fact that even present day that there are doctors who are still diagnosing ADD.
I've been getting actually a lot of comments a lot of DMs on Instagram lately. I've been getting a lot of DMs where people are saying, I was diagnosed 2 weeks ago with ADD. And I'm like, tell your doctor to update his textbook.
I actually, when I first got diagnosed, was diagnosed with ADD. And I have since gone back and gotten the paperwork and stuff like that updated. So I do have the ADHD diagnosis. It's frustrating. I can't imagine how it feels to be a mental health professional that doesn't use the term ADD, who gets many questions about ADD. Because, like I said, it's one of my pet peeves that doctors are still diagnosing this. The DSM-5's been out since 2013. That means that term has not existed for 8 years.
Well, and let's keep in our minds that the DSM-4 came out in 94. So at that point, you're using a 30-year-old book in medical.
Mm-hmm.
Like, really?
Yeah. Yeah, like I was saying, a lot of doctors apparently are still using it. Now, that being said, there are some therapists and psychologists that have been doing it so long that even though they stay up to date, they still sometimes slip back to saying ADD. And one example is Bill Monroe. I cite him often. The guy has been a therapist for over 50 years. And every now and again, he will still, in his videos, he will say ADD. Sometimes he will correct himself, or sometimes he will just kind of move on with it and then say ADHD, in the next breath kind of thing. But I mean, I can't imagine being in that field for over half a century. And this is what you knew. This is what you were taught, right? This is what you diagnosed people with for how long? And then the world changed. So as Lee was saying, it's got to be frustrating for somebody who works in the field to have the terminology kind of pulled out from under them and changed to something else.
So from 94 to 2013, the DSM-4 was used. From 2013 to present day, the DSM-5 has been the gold standard diagnostic manual. There you go. Words. Since today what we're going to do is we're going to be talking about the DSM and we're going to be talking about diagnostic criteria for ADHD, I think it's important that we start with the understanding that ADD does not exist. ADD is essentially what we would now classify as an inattentive type ADHD. And we're going to talk about subtypes and everything like that as well. It's sure to be a good time. But I want to make sure that we do go into it with this disclaimer that ADD is an antiquated term. It is no longer used. Or it should no longer be used, is what I'm saying.
She's old. She's done. She's gone. Get over it, Jethro. Time to move on. Pull up your bootstraps. Just try harder.
Lavender-infused crystal planners.
That's right. Grab your planner and let's move forward to the 21st century. Are you ready to come for a ride? Here we go.
What kind of tea gets the bees in your brain buzzing? A tea with so much energy you won't be able to process it fast enough. A tea that enhances every thought stored in your brain and keeps you active long after the day is done. Introducing Anxiety. Anxiety starts out strong, so it lasts long, thanks to a proprietary blend of vitamins, minerals, ADHD, and a splash of excessive worry. Simply steep Anxiety for 3 minutes, stir, and enjoy. Anxiety, when the thing is never enough.
ADHD has a bad rap as being a disorder that's meant only for children. But in all actuality, ADHD causes a lot of problems in adults as well. According to the National Institute of Mental Health, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, better known as ADHD, is a disorder marked by an ongoing pattern of inattention and/or hyperactivity impulsivity that interferes with the functioning or development. So what we're basically going to do, now that we've got all of that fancy mumbo-jumbo out of the way, we're going to talk a little bit about ADHD and break down the DSM-5 and what the diagnostic criteria for ADHD is.
I'll tell you what it's not. Having somebody on TikTok tell you that you've got ADHD if you can fucking hear this song all the way to the end.
Okay, I will be completely honest. I am guilty of feeding into some of those, more as a joke than anything else, but I have done that.
I mean, I've done the put the finger down challenge before, but that's
I think we all have.
I specifically say you might have ADHD.
I mean, let's be real. It's kind of clickbaity, right? And I mean, as a content creator, some of that is, part of your job, I guess. Mm-hmm. I try not to feed into it too much, but
yes, we should entertain our masses. Are you not entertained?
That's the same fucking thought.
I don't know why my brain didn't. I don't know why my brain didn't go there first, but I'm fucking stuck there now. Thanks, Patrick.
No problem.
Good old Joaquin, right?
Mm-hmm.
Big ol' thumbs down, bitches.
Oy vey.
Okay, let's get back on topic, folks.
Wait, what were we doing again?
We're taking a look at the DSM-5.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, what was I doing? I see what you did. I see what you did there. I'm just delayed.
See that, buddy? We got her again.
I thought that taking a nap was going to help with this, when in fact, I am still just as much
a potato.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, moving on. Redirecting this shit show.
Now back to the educational content here.
Because yes, primarily, is that not what we are here to do, is to educate the masses. Seems like TikTok's holding us back, so let's fucking start a podcast, bitches.
Do it.
Right?
So, what we all have in front of us, or we should all have in front of us, I have it in front of me. I can't speak for the other two who don't always do their homework.
I did my homework this week. Thank you very much.
I'm very proud of you,
Well
Gold
done.
Star.
It was only an hour before we were supposed to record, but I did it.
I was going to say, considering that the homework was handed out this afternoon.
Okay, you know what? I was on couch arrest. God damn.
Okay, let's get back to the educational content, folks.
So what all of us have in front of us is a copy of the DSM-5 and the exact part of the DSM that talks about ADHD and diagnosis. DSM, for those that are unfamiliar, stands for the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, and it's more affectionately known as the Mental Health Bible. If there's a mental health disorder, it is in that, or should be, in that book. It is not perfect as science advances. So this is the 5th version of this that has come out. It was published in 2013, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
And even now, there are things that they are going to be changing within the DSM in various categories. They're going to be doing this in waves. So I guess it's not going to be like a DSM-6, but it's going to be like a DSM 5.1, 5.2, something like that.
From what I had heard from some psychologists, and they said don't quote them on it, but to the best of their understanding, it's going to be, they're rolling out in sections, and they're going to be addressing different sections.
So there are 5 key areas within the DSM-5 that we take a look at when diagnosing ADHD. Now, keep in mind, none of us are psychologists. We are laymen at best who are taking a look at the DSM to decipher what it says. If there is any mistake and somebody who is a psychiatrist or somebody with a mental health background catches it, please contact us at What Was I Doing podcast at gmail.com, and we will be sure to get that fixed as soon as humanly possible.
Absolutely.
We are here to spread correct information. So this is broken up A, B, C, D, E. Under A, it says that we have a persistent pattern of inattention and or hyperactive impulsivity that interferes with functioning or development as characterized by 1 and or 2. And then it's broken up into 1 and 2. And look at me, I read and I have dyslexia. You guys should...
I know.
Nice.
I'm so proud of
Good
you.
job.
Good job.
It's not even in Comic Sans.
So you have inattention, which is 6 or more of the following symptoms out of these 9 criteria. So, often fails to give close attention to details or makes careless mistakes in schoolwork, at work, or during other activities. Overlooks or misses details. Work is inaccurate.
A good example of this is a kid who rushes through their math homework. And they might switch 2 numbers around, or somebody who is writing something and might miss a word or 2 in the sentence, not completing steps to things.
My classic example of this for me was that I often rush through tests, and I could get almost a perfect score, but I made one careless mistake on a question that I knew, and I got it wrong.
Or another instance would be if you just overlook a small, simple thing while you're on the job site, right? You didn't happen to notice that the hammer was sitting over here on this step, right? It's a potential hazard.
Yep.
In a or during others activity example would be if you have a list of groceries to pick up from the store and you forget to get the milk that's on the list.
Wow. Calling me out already, huh?
How I do.
Okay.
That's how I do.
Let's go with the next step. Often has difficulty sustaining attention in tasks or play activities, has difficulty remaining focused during lectures, conversations, or lengthy reading.
I read a lot, and the number of times that I reread paragraphs is astounding.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and on top of that,
reading from...
I was going to say, on top of that, not only rereading paragraphs, but when I'm reading books, I skip sections of like excessive description because it's boring to read. Mm-hmm. So I will skip through those type of steps. Like when they set up world building and stuff like that, I will just skip entire paragraphs because I don't have the focus.
Like glaze over it?
Yep.
Like you'll skim through it.
Yeah, I'll get a basic idea.
Catch the important keywords.
Mm-hmm. And that could also do with my aphantasia, which means I can't picture the world. I'm interested in the story. So,
sure.
Okay. Often does not seem to listen when spoken to directly. Mind seems to be elsewhere, even in the absence of obvious distractions. Holy shit, I feel called out on this one.
There are a number of times that I've been in the staff room that somebody has directly talked to me, and I did not realize that they were talking to me.
Oh yeah.
There are many times where I hear my name and I snap back and go, I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention.
Or I'll be